All right, can you hear me? That would be the next question. So there's no music playing, but you can hear my voice. So I guess StreamYard is not the place to be able to just play whatever music, or I have to figure out how I can get the music playing because I'm listening to music as I'm going. I guess it'll just set the mood for me, but not for y'all. So yeah, thanks, Antonio. Yeah, Bills and Doug have already have confirmed that they can hear me, but they can't hear the music that I'm supposed to be playing. Like I can hear the music. So you know what? I guess we're just gonna ditch the music. Nigga, who told you to stop watching The Sopranos anyway? You could do both at the same time. All you gotta do is listen. All you gotta do with Sopranos is watch. All they're gonna do is say, "Ayo, ayo, yo, ayo, yo." That's all they're gonna say. That's basically Sopranos all in one. Hey, that's all they're gonna do. And maybe bang bang shot, somebody was assassinated, whatever the case may be. Better shows the warrior anyway. All right, let's get started. There we go. So I feel like I've gotten used to this countdown. So I guess I don't really have to mute anything when this countdown begins. And did I start on time? A couple minutes late. Oh, whatever. I was already 30 minutes late behind. Whatever the case, I don't care. It's not like anybody's going anywhere. You know, Bill's complaining because I'm taking time away from his Sopranos. Ooh, really? Man. So, all right. So, welcome everybody to episode 15 of What the Fuck Just Happened. As you saw in the title, even though I didn't have any topics, I basically put out there this is going to be open Q&A. I don't know why Bills was acting like this better be good when it was going to be open Q&A. So you can multitask. This is what streaming. I'm watching a basketball game in the background. I'm drinking my tea, and 2 minutes to entertain you. Do I look like some circus clown here to amuse you, to make you laugh, tell jokes? No. You're the entertainer. You're the one that's supposed to sing and bring joy into people's lives, or babies, whatever which one your songs bring to people. So just you know, how you gonna get me, who's the non-entertainer, to entertain you? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Anyway, so like I said, tonight's going to be open Q&A. I kind of thought I was going to have some, surefire topics. I do have one thing that I saw last night. It may start up a conversation. It may not, because not everybody sat for 4 hours and watched David Jaffe, whoever, how you pronounce his last name, basically go through dealing with race, as far as stemming from an apology he gave a colleague, and that I guess people got on him about the fact, why did you apologize, blah, 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 blah. The typical thing that people who are bigoted and racist tend to do when someone apologizes for, with what they felt was maybe a racist apology. But I'm going to get into all that a little bit later. So take care of a little bit of admin. So, folks, you can find me on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, you can find me on Twitch. And if you're on Twitch, you can find me on YouTube. So, with that being said, let's go to our opening thoughts. So, last time you guys really heard from me on a set stream was, I believe this past Saturday. I did a stream where I played NBA 2K21. Yeah, Bills, you missed that one. Where I was playing the New York Knicks and and I was controlling the Washington Wizards, and it was a good game. It was back and forth until I started pulling away by, I believe, the beginning of the fourth quarter. So the gameplay looked good. I was playing on default rosters, which I'm starting to see that it was shocking, the amount of gameplay. But, at the same time, I did mess with the overall game tendencies. And the Knicks were just jacking threes all over the place. I could have sworn I don't remember the exact number of threes they took, but I wound up winning by, I think, 20 or something like that. Like I said, I pulled away in the fourth quarter. Bill had his game. Westbrook had his game. I forgot who else stepped up in the game. But we were on the verge of a huge snowstorm. And guess what? Wah, 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 wah. It didn't happen. It did, but it didn't. Basically, a fake me out nor'easter just barreling down on the northeast, talking about, I'm gonna hit you. Psych. That's exactly what happened. So we didn't get the 10 inches of snow that I thought we were going to get. Thought everyone's going to be snowed in. No, we only got about 3-4 inches, a bunch of ice and flurries that were like on and off, like a bunch of gardening sprinklers or whatever. So yeah, so that was a fake me out. I think the name of that storm was Elena. So I guess this is what females do in the form of storms. They tease you and then they ghost you. Wow. That's why. And they do name these winter storms now. It's not just hurricanes they name. They definitely do name these storms. And this one was called Elena, so they gave it a female name. I wonder why they gave it a female name. Well, other than what I just said earlier. But, I mean, could have called it Orlando, Omar, the Ops. You could have called it Olivier. You could have called it Olivia, female, whatever. There's some men called Olivia for all I know. And let's see. Did I ask Antonio, where are you at? Just give me a general location. Only you don't have to give me exacts, because pretty much people on the eastern seaboard got snow. So if that nor'easter did what it did, then I think anywhere from middle Virginia up the eastern seaboard got some snow of some type. Virginia, yeah, you definitely got some snow, but it probably changed to rain before and rain for the rest of the time. So you probably got a little bit, depending upon where you're at. Now, if you were in a mountainous area in Virginia, you probably got all snow, because Western Maryland got nailed because there was a system that moved in beforehand, and that pretty much blanketed all of Western Maryland, like Garrett County, Frederick. I'm trying to figure out the Allegheny, Frostburg State University's up there, so they got hit. But the rest of us, we got the fake me out nor'easter, because whenever there's a storm that moves from the west to the east, we're protected by the Appalachian Mountains. So and the way weather works, and I'm pulling this from first grade or second grade science. The way weather works is that when a system moves through, when it moves over a mountain chain, it dumps its moisture as it passes over the mountain chain. So when it reaches the other side, you get the scraps or crumbs of that weather system, any moisture that was included on it. But a nor'easter, we're not protected in the South. There's no southern mountain chain that's protecting us from nor'easters. So the nor'easters are the ones that tend to hit us the most. And when they hit us, they really hit us. And like I said, nor'easters are like wintertime hurricanes. This one just missed us. So I don't know how that happened. But that's where I left off the stream on Saturday after beating the Knicks. I was thoroughly disappointed. There was a Pro Bowl that took place virtually on Madden, and then on yesterday's First and Frame Rates podcast. And let me take care a bit of that little. So just to let you guys know, I am one of the featured panelists on a show called First and Frame Rates. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:45-ish Eastern Standard Time. So that's Bills, VF, and myself. We talk about sports and sports video gaming. So come join us every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7:45-ish on YouTube. Actually, no, on Twitch. We just migrated to Twitch. So that was like a half an L in that commercial. So that was the news of NCAA was on our podcast yesterday. So we talked about that. And I think there were a couple of other topics that we talked about. So, and then let me just do this. I've got that going. Okay, so Bills wants to say it's a full L. Coming from the guy who can't watch Sopranos and listen to a stream at the same time. It's not that difficult. Well, then it wouldn't make it an L, it would actually make it an uppercase I. So anyway, so while this is going on, anybody got any questions? It's an open Q&A. Let me go ahead and just put that up there. What do you guys want to know? The title the whole thing was colored in gray. If you guys didn't notice, which there's a bunch of men watching this, so they don't notice when subtle changes pop up. So you saw that my title screen changed colors, but nobody said anything. I feel like the the neglected girlfriend all of a sudden. Like, did you notice how my hair looks? Nah, it looked the same as it did yesterday. What? I put a streak of red in it. You didn't notice it? Yeah, that's real. Because I felt like it. That's why I changed. I had it on white pretty much all the entire time. Plus, gray matches the logo a lot better. So that's primarily why I changed it. This dude. I thought you were supposed to be watching The Sopranos. It's been an awful lot of comments, consecutive comments, and you're supposed to be, what's going on in Sopranos right now? That's my question to you. What's going on in Sopranos right now? Which episode are you on? Which season are you on? Because I'm about to complete the first season of Warrior, which is about 10 episodes per season. I'm going to finish it after midnight tonight. It's on season 5. Yep. So, all right. So while that's up, I'm going to bring up what I was talking about a little bit earlier. And let me take that banner down because I don't want that in the way. All right, here we go. So David Jaffe, former creator of God of War. I'm not going to say former game developer. He hasn't really made any games in quite some time. But, he was the original creator of God of War, like 1, 2, 3, all those. Not the most recent one, the one that apparently everyone hates. You know, that game, the recent one was the GOAT. I'm sorry. I will tell you to your face that game was the GOAT. And you can say whatever you want about that. But anyway, so apparently in a video, what I guess, I don't know, he does some very eccentric streams on YouTube. Okay, that's starting to annoy me. The music that you guys can't hear but was in my ear was annoying the hell out of me. So I guess I saved you guys from having to hear it. It was like a constant, like, certain sound. Stuff like that bothers me. It's like a dog whistle. But anyway, so David Jaffe in a stream, I guess, says something off color, keyword off color to a former colleague of his. And I guess while watching the video, he realized what he said may have been considered racist and offensive. So he apologized to his colleague. And apparently, there are folks that are like, you didn't say anything wrong to him. Why do you feel the need to apologize? And at first, he put out a video explaining what he did. But then it turned into a crazy 4-hour live stream in which he proceeded to have an open conversation. It started with the apology to his colleague, I believe. I didn't catch it until like midway through it. And the premise was based off the apology that he gave. He felt like what he said was offensive to his colleague and he wanted to apologize. So that's what he did. But then what tends to happen when a white guy apologizes to any person of color for something they may have said and did it on their own, there seems to be some sort of backlash that comes from the peanut gallery. And the backlash coming from the people who are like, that's not racist, what you said. You shouldn't have to apologize to them. And then they go and explain why David Jaffe didn't need to apologize to his colleague about saying something that David Jaffe, the only person that would know how he felt would be David Jaffe about what he said to a colleague. And if he felt a certain way, then he acted on it and he apologized for it. But these crackheads in his stream tried to explain that what he said, and I don't have the actual joke. If anybody wanted to know what the joke was or what comment it was, I wasn't in tune with that stream, and I don't think he brought it up during that 4-hour stream. But I spent 4 hours listening to this stream in which David Jaffe tried to have an open conversation about race relations, based off the fact that he felt like he said something that was racially offensive towards a former colleague. So I watched, and strange enough, most of the people that I saw, that I felt, that I heard explain away the bigotry, the racism, and try to make it a facts-based item were people from Britain. That's kind of odd. Well, rhetorically, I'm being sarcastic when I'm saying that's kind of odd. That the people that are trying to explain away bigotry, systemic racism, trying to explain all these factors away by asking for statistics, asking for. I'm sorry, but there are certain things that, as a person from Britain, would not understand. And I mean, white people from Britain would not understand, because you have to feel certain things in place. You have to have stuff done to you in order to understand what systemic racism and how the legacy, like especially here in America. First of all, they're in Britain commenting on stuff in America. Now I know that sounds hypocritical, not from me, because I think that we shouldn't really be commenting on anybody else's or dealing with any other country and being involved, like having our hands involved in everything that goes on this planet. I think it's a waste of our time. But racism is definitely a subject in America that doesn't seem to get addressed, and there's no proper way to. I don't believe there's a proper way to address it. Um, I don't think you could explain it in statistics only, in facts only. There's a bit of rationale going on when racism occurs. Um, it's almost like trying to figure out how a murderer murders people. You can't just you can't factually you can't use facts alone to explain why a murderer does what he does. There's irrationale. And first of all, I'm not a psychologist or anything of that nature. So I'm gonna throw that out there. So this is just what I'm seeing, just using my own common sense, lack thereof, whatever the case may be. And it's funny because David Jaffe in his whole live stream even expressed that there's not a lot that he understands, but he's willing to understand it. I'm in the same boat, but I'm using this murder thing as an example because people try to use just facts by themselves to explain why murderers do what they do. But murderers do what they do, and there are things, factors, feelings, emotions, thoughts, everything that also play in the factor why they do what they do. It could be a snap decision, a person can black out. But stats alone can't. So these people from Britain, just to go back, these people from Britain, and not all the people that were explaining from Britain, but I could hear the accent, the British accent. I can't really speak the British accent, maybe the Scottish accent, but not the British. We're trying to factually explain away racism in America, and then try to deflect by talking about, well, such and such thousands of British women have been, raped by Muslims. I'm like, yo, that is clearly deflecting from this whole racial thing, that you're talking about something that maybe the local authorities in your country need to deal with, not necessarily what we need to hear. Like, we're talking about, police beating up African Americans at a higher rate than they're beating up white Americans. We're talking about Black Americans being denied loans at a higher rate than white people are being denied loans. We're talking about sports. Certain sports are steered towards Blacks more than they are steered towards whites. Like, we talked about the baseball issue, brought up African Americans in baseball. And for me, that's a personal thing. Not because I'm African American, because I encountered that racism, bigotry, and it wasn't really overt. It was covert racism, or the other factor they call it, where you don't know you're doing it. Innate racism or whatever, innate bias. I think that's what it is. Inherent bias. That's what it is. Inherent bias, where you're doing something because you're following what you normally do, but you don't understand. You're on autopilot to where you're doing something that you favor something each and every time without even thinking about it. Well, I know as an African American being steered towards basketball, I'm like, I cringe when people tell me stories about how, like, they meet people and because they're tall and they're Black, oh, they assume they're a basketball player. I'm like, that's cringy. Um, but I felt like in my experience outside of the years I spent with this church team, I felt like there were outside influences that were trying to get me from playing baseball. Now, the main influence, and we talked about this, and I agree, there are a lack of African American stars due to the poor marketing ability of the major leagues to market even star athletes, much less black athletes. But, the main person that I looked at growing up was Cal Ripken Jr. But the one main influence at home was my father. He played baseball. Well, he mostly played softball, but the baseball was there. So he was the one. And my family weren't a bunch of football players. Some played basketball. So my sports were baseball and basketball before I took on football. But I feel as though as I played in baseball, I felt like on teams that I was on before I got to Columbia Community Church's Columbia Angels, I felt like I did not belong. Even though I had friends I was teammates with, played with, and stuff like that, we were little kids, so it wasn't the kids that made me feel like I didn't belong. I felt like there were certain coaches as far as where they would place me, as far as positioning, despite what I told them I wanted to play or could play. I'm going to tell you this much. I've never expressed to any coach that I wanted to play outfield. So why was coaches sticking me in the outfield? Oh, you can run. Oh, you're fast. Oh, you're very athletic. Oh, you know how boring it is in the outfield? I'm always where the action is. But as a kid, I knew that my position was in the infield, shortstop, second base. I could play first. In baseball, I've played every position that there is. I've been a DH too, so 10 positions, 10 spots on the baseball team as far as, that are playable within one game. I did them all. But I told none of these coaches that I wanted to play in outfield, but they stuck me in outfield. I told none of these coaches that I wanted to bat first. I never wanted to bat first. I always wanted to bat third. But certain coaches put me at leadoff because they felt, oh, he gets on, he can steal a base. Man, did you skim over the fact that maybe I was good enough hitting wise that I could do more than just get on base and steal bases? And then get this, especially this happened a lot here in Howard County. I seen this at Hammond High School. I seen the only black person on the team sit the bench the whole entire game. You get late in the game, one of his teammates gets on base. They send him in. He's not, and it's not like and the thing was, this kid did not look like he could play baseball, but due to whatever the coaches saw, they was like, oh, he doesn't have to play in the field. We can wait. We can use him as a pinch runner. He'll steal bases because he's fast. That's a stereotypical thing that they look at us. Now, is it true that we're fast? In most cases, yes. Is it true that we are athletic? Yes, that is true in most cases. But you assume that's what makes it bad, and you assume it based on an inherent bias on our looks, which could be deemed racial. Seeing a lot of that in Howard County. What led me to play for the Columbia Angels as African-American baseball player was the appeal that we were going to be a mostly African-American team. We weren't going to rule out any any white kids that wanted to play. Matter of fact, we had one. It kind of like role reversal, and that one person was a dear friend of mine growing up. His name is Chris Barkley. He's funny kid growing up. I wonder how he's doing. But my father and my other friend's father were watching myself and his son try out for a team called the Columbia Reds. And it's like a Howard County travel team. And it seemed like they had their people, they had their mind made up who they wanted on the team. But the extra stink on this was that everybody they hit to at a certain intensity. They got to myself and they got to my friend's name's Todd Fleming. They would hit to us a lot harder than they would hit to everyone else. And my father and my friend's father, whose name's Alan Fleming, Mr. Alan Fleming, who wound up coaching the Columbia Community Church Angels. We were called the Angels. And that made both of them, made my father and Coach Fleming heated over this. Because it was obvious. The white kids were getting soft grounders. We were getting like liners. It was almost like they were swinging at us like, take that! And they wanted to say the N-word if they could. But, this is Howard County is supposed to be, I tell you the truth about Howard County. You travel past 108. Be careful. Like Columbia is probably the most diverse part of Howard County. As soon as you get beyond 108, I don't know. You have to think about that because we had some incidents here recently with kids graffiti and swastikas, and I remember even when I was in high school, we had a game out in Glenelg where the white kids at Glenelg doing a JV game were calling us the N-word. Like, what the hell is this? And this was before the game. And you know what happened? Well, we won the game. We whipped their ass on the field. We didn't have to whip their ass off the field. We whipped their ass on the field. They couldn't say shit afterwards. But still, let's see. Doug's like, got a lot of towns like that in America. Yep, there are a ton of America was founded on. It was funny. There are a billion things that America was founded on. And the underlying thing that motivated a lot of people when they first got here was racial. I firmly believe that. I'm like, who goes to a place, sees people already there, and steals their land? Then who goes to another place? One didn't happen before the other. I think they both happened at the same time. Who goes to another place and deems that race, because of what they look like, inferior? And it's funny. It kind of goes back to the people in Britain trying to explain away all this, when they're the ones that really triggered this whole thing. Let's see. Doug's like, when I lived in the South, I had to be careful where I went. Yeah. He also says that's unfortunate. And that's the thing. We're the ones that have to be careful where we go. Like, here's the thing. Okay. With where we have to be careful where we're going, it's towns that just pop up on you. Like, if you're out in the boonies, like I had this experience while I was delivering on behalf of Enjoy. I remember being out in the boonies, like in the evening time, like there was like one of my last couple of deliveries, being out in the boonies out in Virginia. Like, I'm gonna see, I forgot how far south we could go, but I remember delivering to this one place. There were no lights. It felt like I was at a swamp, and Yeah, the fog was rolling in, so I had the high beams on, I had the low beams on, so I could navigate. It was a winding back road, and I finally got to this house, and there was no lights. I had to light up my phone just to light my way to get to this person's driveway, just to deliver their phone. And then getting out of there was a pain. But in places like that, I'm sitting there watching my back, like, you know what? If something happens to me, no one's gonna hear from me. I'm like, I could be lynched, and which is what happened, which has been happening the last uh, few years. People like black men have been lynched at a rate that is just ridiculous, and black women have been lynched in a different way at a high rate recently. So it's one of those things where we have to watch where we go, whether it's a very like we can't comfortably go into like a high class area. Let's just say a gated community without getting the look, and we know what that look means, or we know what that looks like. Most white people don't understand that look because they really don't venture. Like white people, okay, white people don't know that look because they don't go to the inner city to get that look. And even when they go to, if white people go to the inner city, they're not gonna get the look like, oh, they don't belong. They're gonna get a different look like, oh, who's this? When white people come into the hood, it's more of a, oh, why are they here? Like we're curious. Like, well, I'm sure. I never really lived in the hood. Let me just make that clear. But I could see that there's a curiosity versus the other way around, the flip side, to where if we go to a gated community, a mostly white area, or even just, going out shopping, that we'll get the look, we'll get followed, we got to ask every other question when there's other customers that have been in there longer than we have. We just walked in and all of a sudden we're getting like 20 questions. I'm like, can I get my foot through the other door? So also talked about the fact that one person in David Jaffe's stream he tried, not Jaffe, but the guy that was talking to Jaffe. There was a bunch of them. And also throughout the stream, and I don't think it's available now because he tucked it away. The stream is problematic because there were random people just popping in and out. I guess he was on Discord or whatever, was popping in and out. They would just scream the N-word, and he would try to mute them. But I'm like, he was real slow as far as that was concerned. It seemed like he was just overwhelmed trying to, have a conversation, managing Discord, managing the chat. I'm sure he had mods, but it just seemed like, the unfortunate things that were popping up, it wouldn't stay long on YouTube. But one person was trying to get statistics on, somebody tried to say the typical thing about police stops and tried to compare a chance percentage. What is it? A chance percentage to a totality based rate, like probability versus totality. This person tried to say, well, more white people get arrested and blah, 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 blah. But like, there are more white people in the country. And I'm glad David Jaffe cleared this up because he said for the percentage of African Americans, he tried to make sure that every point he said was clear. Even the racist, because he made I would say a opening statement in which he sat there and said, if you're white and born in America, you are racist. And he defined what he meant by that afterwards. If I remember correctly, he didn't mean racist. He was saying it in a way, yep, per capita. And that's the term that everyone uses now to, specify based on the totality of the specific thing that we're trying to figure out. So it's just like it's like filtering in a way. So instead of saying more white people get arrested than black people, when we already know that there's more white people than black people. Now here's the thing: if more black people were being arrested based on totality, we would definitely have a serious problem, wouldn't we? So yeah, it's a double standard. Oh, I forgot to put per capita, but there you go. But he was saying that it's not based on hatred. Like, as far as what he was trying to clarify, the whole thing, if you're white and born in America, you are racist. He wasn't saying it based on hate. It's based on the fact that you're born into a privilege and have all the advantages based on that privilege. Not necessarily mean that you did something wrong. It's just the fact that there are forces that already took care of that wrong and set you up for success versus somebody who doesn't look like you. Like, white people when they're born here in the United States are already set up for success. Now, what they choose to do with it afterwards, but they have a safety net. That is their privilege. Their privilege is their safety net. We don't have that safety net. And even when we think we have that safety net, that's also not. I'm like, you don't see white people being indoctrinated into the welfare system. It's black people indoctrinated into the welfare system. I remember one time sitting in an office and really, hey, what's up, Preliminary? What's up? I remember sitting down at a rental office here in Howard County, along with my father and what was it? I think it was just my father. I think my sister was there, and maybe she wasn't. And we sat there at the rental office, and the lady there, like, first of all, we didn't want to sign certain things at the time. This was like many years ago. This isn't recent. This is like many years ago. We had to sign something in the form of no, we didn't have to. We chose not to. But the lady was saying, "Oh, it's not a bad thing. You can actually, live this way." Like, telling us. And it was a black lady. But the thing is, the indoctrination, it's not who is sitting in front of you that makes it bad. It's the message that's being dealt to you that, hey, this is the way you can live. Like, no, welfare is meant to assist, not live off of. But I see that, stereotypically, as black people in America, we are pushed towards that, and steered towards that mainly through other stuff that happens that, a lot of times statistics can't explain. Like, why inner cities? Why are we congregating in inner cities when I thought segregation ended a long time ago? Preliminary brought up a good point. Oh, I keep on forgetting. Okay, that's why I wanted to pop up. Sometimes that doesn't even pop up right away. He says, even with the continuous slave movies that promote this sub-black culture, yeah, we get a lot of slave movies, but we don't get a lot of Wakanda stories. We don't, like, it's funny. Coming to America Part 2 is coming out March 5th on Amazon. We don't have stuff that really it seems like it's starting to happen where we're seeing visuals of successful Black people like at a high rate versus what it was maybe just a year or two ago. But segregation, why there are Black places, why there are white places. If racism didn't exist, there wouldn't be such things as white places and Black places. And the thing is that most most Black people that are in the inner city are placed there because of not placed there. We have to go there because there's lack of opportunities in jobs, education, even just activities. Like I know VF talked about VF and Bills talked about. I think between the two of them, they brought up a good point about when we were talking about baseball, African American youth in baseball, how there are no activity centers in the Black communities, but in the white communities, there's like 10 or 20. There's more liquor stores in the Black communities than there are community centers. And then even when we have a community center, it acts as a front to a like whatever hangout spot for drug activity. And it seems like it's allowed in a Black community, but have that drug element pop up in a white community. Oh no. We got neighborhood watch and blah 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 blah. There's no neighborhood watch in the Black community, and that's crazy amongst themselves. So you had the lack of education, not lack of education, but lack of educational opportunities, lack of athletic opportunities beyond just football and basketball, lack of career opportunities other than being a singer or whatever. And it's not a slant towards Bills, but I mean, we've been indoctrinated to believe as African Americans that the only way we're going to make it in this country is singing and dancing, jumping, running, and acting. And you see it as you grow up through school. You don't see a lot of teachers pushing Black kids to be doctors, lawyers, and whatever. Now, kids will say what they want to be based on what their environment was pushed in their environment. But teachers honestly are there to nurture potential. Parents are also there. Well, the parents are the first ones that nurture potential. Then the teachers. It's kind of like a tag team. But obviously the heavy lifting is done by the parents, and then the teachers are there to assist. But it's kind of flipped. All right, so preliminary is like I'm working a program for creative designer, the arts in DC. Now, and that's like technology based, right? Creative designers, or are you talking about just arts and craft in general? Because there's arts and craft in both the tech field and also I would say mechanical side of arts. Oh, grammar. Oh, forgive the grammar. Man, we all don't have architecture, which is a form of engineering. So, and that's good. It's like, honestly, there's nothing wrong with vocational opportunities. There's nothing wrong with it. It may spark some feeling of, oh, why we gotta steer towards service industry or what have you, but you never know what you can do once you gain a craft. Once you learn a trade or a craft, you don't know what you can do with it. You become an entrepreneur with that trade. You can be a contractor based off all of that. But we're never. I feel like as African Americans, we're not shown that. We're definitely not showing that in schools. Overall, schools do a poor job of teaching kids how to handle their finances. Shoot, let alone don't teach. It's like they really don't teach Black kids to handle their money even beyond high school. College. So I feel like, and the funny thing is, I could hear people on that Dave Jaffe stream. I can hear them try to explain everything away, and what they'll do is they'll sit there and they'll say, "Well, the country was founded upon the principles that you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps." Well, what if we don't have anything to pull ourselves up with? Because it's being withheld from us. We literally are just left with nothing. Like we literally were pulled out of our bootstraps. How about that? I'm like, shoot, Native Americans were placed in concentration camps. They call them reservations, but those were concentration camps. Shoot, the Japanese put in the concentration camps in World War II. Shoot, the Chinese when they came over here working on the railroads. I'm watching the Warrior now, and that's bringing up all the trouble they went through. And here's the thing I learned from watching The Warrior, and it's funny that I'm watching that. Is that when you are brought here voluntarily, you're more than likely going to make out better than you would if you were involuntarily brought over here or involuntarily enslaved and involuntarily placed in a concentration camp. Because just by looking at what the people looked like and who they were, you felt they were inferior. So so the argument that people would say, well, Asians were able to do it, Hispanics were able to do it, and the Jewish community was able to do it. I'm like, they were never enslaved at the rate that we were. They got to deal with low-paying jobs that they were forced to work, or they had to work. We were stolen from our land in whatever country in Africa, because remember, Africa is a continent. Because we had a couple of people say, well, they need to go back to Africa. I'm like, where in Africa? Because no one knows which country they are from. You can't just plop in any country in Africa and be like, look, I'm going to make a living here. How? You probably don't even know what your native language was. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand when they try to explain away racism and stuff like that. They don't understand that our goddamn identities were taken away. African Americans, we are here literally somebody else. Let me get to the chat. So, preliminary sports is like we're shown sports, rap, thuggism. Yep. Okay. Enslaved segregation, cracked prison system. That's another thing. And it's funny because Biden just signed a EO, executive order. Anybody want to know? Signed an EO stating to end or do not renew any of the private prison system contracts, to try to better race relations or whatnot. Nope. How he said, do not continue. I wonder how long those contracts are going for, because they could be like 10 years later. So you still got a good possibly 5-10 years of these contracts, maybe 15, 20. So just because it would have been better to like end the contracts now, but I know that would be some type of financial shortfall. So Doug is like, and that's the sad part. He's also like, I would love to know what country my ancestors were from. See, and it's funny because there's ways you can get a guess a guesstimation, I would say. There's 23andMe, there's Ancestry.com, but there's still the legwork that here's another unfortunate thing as an African American. Most of the paperwork gone. Like you literally had to like other immigrants that came into the country, Irish, Scottish, uh, the English, Japanese, Chinese. I would say the Mexicans probably, Hispanics probably feel our pain a little bit, but not as much. Um, our records were their records were passports. Our records were ended up as receipts. I feel like when it comes to racism and having a conversation, you have to lay it all on the table. You can't just leave it at a specific moment. Now, I know in David Jaffe's, it was a specific moment that he was talking about and he wanted to apologize for. But and I appreciate the fact that he was transparent in saying that, hey, I want you to understand. I want to know because I don't know everything. You know, there are certain things that he said in that stream that I didn't agree with. But that's his stance based on the view that he knows, and that's based on personal experience. But he's willing to take in new information. But I feel like the sides, as far as having this conversation, it doesn't happen because no one's open to learn about the other. I kind of wrote about this, and it's gotten worse. Um, I wrote this as my senior project paper when I graduated from UMGC, class of 2017, by the way. My bachelor's, and I talked about the fact that technology has found a way to separate us to the point where we don't even reach out to compromise, primarily in politics, but even in daily life. Like people having Twitter spats and cursing each other out, roasting each other, doing whatever from the comforts of their own home. They don't have to face these people in real life. They're safe behind these cameras. So it makes it prevalent for people to be racist, be more racist because they're not doing it to your face. It's like passive aggressive bigotry, passive aggressive racism, passive aggressive whatever. You know, when I grew up, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. We didn't have the internet. Yeah, this is a get off my lawn type thought here, but we didn't have the internet. We dealt with adversity. We had to deal with bullies. It's funny because being where I lived, I wasn't exposed to racism too much. So I will admit that. You know, other places have it heavier, especially in the South. And some parts of Maryland too, because remember, we were a borderline state. So slavery here was prevalent, but not all over the place because the state was confused. But I would say that hopefully I didn't lose my thought there for a second because sometimes that happens. Goddamn football. And y'all can see that Art Monk jersey in the back. I had to put that up. I was looking for my high school football jersey and I actually found it. But here's the problem. It's all tatted up. And I'm like randomly doing this because this is I played for Wild Lake back in the day. So I had to wash that and dry it and get it all presentable. So, and the letters are falling off. So it'll just go up. It won't be as clean and pristine as the Art Monk jersey, but it'll be hanging up and it'll be on my right hand side. So you'll see it there. I probably pointed towards curtains. So what? But I wrote about, like, again, I wrote about this as far as why people, why race, not why race, why we are so divided, and why. And this is a new avenue I'm just adding just for this specific topic, because this is talking about race. This is talking about what David Jaffe went through a 4-hour live stream to deal with. Is that not everybody's comfortable in talking about race because it's not comfortable. Period. It's tough. People are gonna say real shit. They're gonna say things that are gonna offend you in that conversation. And the reason why it's tougher for folks now and the kids today is because they're not used to having tough things said. Most things are handed to kids that roam the internet and whatnot. And I'm 40 years old, so I can call the rest of you kids. And it's not me looking down upon you guys. I'm talking about the current crop of young adults and whatnot. And I'm calling you kids because I'm teaching right now. So pay attention. I feel like you kids just don't know how to just take a punch, especially one to the jaw. And that's what these words are doing to you guys. You guys are getting hit on the jaw when it comes to racial conversations, and you guys are crying and going home to mommy like, they hit me with this word. I don't know what it means, but I'm not gonna deal with that person. And you run away. You run away from the conflict. He's not even hot anymore. But when I was growing up, and my father had it much worse. He went to a high school, a Bowie Senior High School, and unfortunately, that school actually was on fire a couple of days ago. So my father had posted that on Facebook. I was like, damn, hopefully that school, yeah, hopefully, well, obviously there's nobody was in there. Hopefully nobody was in there when the fire went off. But he went through it. He would tell me stories about how there was race fights between the neighborhood kids between his friends from his neighborhood in Bowie and the white kids in Bowie. Matter of fact, I actually witnessed a racial fight take place doing a barbecue down my family's down in Bowie, in the old part of Bowie, the one where there's the Amtrak station at that place. And yeah, I'm like, racial tension will pop up wherever and whenever, and you gotta be willing to take a punch or two to deal with these conversations. You can't just run at the first N word that you hear. You can't run at the first sign of somebody saying, well, I don't think that's true. Don't get offended so quickly. And I think that's what that's why this conversation never really takes place, because somebody's running. And it's not just people on our side. The other side, they're afraid we're going to kill them. If you don't understand what we're saying, we're going to kill you. That's what I think. That's the fear. There's that long fear that, and they call it white man's guilt or whatever. But there's this long-standing fear that if we ever became free, that we would just seek revenge. I'm here to tell you guys, we're not worried about revenge. We're more worried about reparations than we are revenge. No, killing is against the law. We're not trying to commit crimes. We're just trying to get paid for our time that you took away from us. That's basically. And reparations, what does that mean? A lot of people like, just cut the check. I mean, that would be nice, but what do you plan on doing with that, with the financial institutions in place the way they are? All right, Doug's like, Bowie anywhere is not good for black people. We had a Bowie in Texas. Of course, he's a hero in Texas. Yeah, Bowie is just, wherever Bowie is, you just gotta be careful. But our Bowie is actually, I lived in Bowie for I think maybe less than a year. but that was when I was transitioning out of PG County. Well, still in PG County, but transitioning out of Landover to Bowie. This is when my parents got divorced and stuff like that. So, because we were living in Landover, right down the street from where FedEx stands, where I actually visited that house many years ago. Still standing, but it's not pink anymore. But, yep. But yeah, I know Bowie's in PG County. I was about to explain the whole transition. Thank you, Subliminary Sports. I'm gonna just call you Subliminary. So moving up here to Howard County, I was in PG County for I think I would say the first 5 years of my life. I was in PG County. Actually, no, check that. 3 years in PG County, 2 years in DC, Southeast. I know you can't tell because of the way I talk. Matter of fact, if this screen were black and you didn't see my face beforehand, you'd probably think I was white. Bill swears up and down he can tell I'm black by the sound of my voice. And that's another thing that pops up in David Jaffe's, because some people took him the wrong way. They tried him, and obviously it was a misunderstanding. He wasn't saying that he's assuming the person's race based on their voice. He said he has a knack for and according to feel sound, he actually added some science behind it. You know, black people tend to have a deeper sounding voice. Some people, white people, tend to sound nasal and stuff like that, which is kind of funny because I kind of sound nasal, and I don't talk a certain way. I think there's a baritone somewhere, but it's not primarily there. But that's another thing that I dealt with growing up. And this happened on both sides. I had my black friends that didn't talk like me, told me I was too tight, and I was too uptight. I need to relax. I was like, I'm sorry, that's the way I was taught to speak. And and it's funny because my white friends, it was like, oh yeah, he talks like that. That's cool. And of course, we were kids. We're not expressing racial thoughts towards each other at that time. But I'm sure I've gotten the he's well spoken comment from white parents. Like, how else am I supposed to speak? Compared to what? And you're looking at me. You can clearly see I'm African American, and you're telling me I'm well spoken. I'm like, thank you. I would take that as a compliment, but you don't say that to your kids. So why do you need to say it to me? So remember doing that. All right. Yeah, the media does shoot right now. I already noted that CNN has done a complete 180. They went from crying for 4 years to dick sucking after January 20th. No lie, no bullshit. Right now I wouldn't be surprised if Cuomo and Lemon were screwing each other, because the way they dish compliments to one another, they are definitely got the hots for each other. They do. That's fine. But that channel definitely went from crying to dick sucking after January 20th. So why'd you retract your message? What'd you say? I missed it. Oh, I did see it. There it is right there. Got it. I had... See, this comment right here is actually, you could have kept this one that I'm showing right here, because I've had conversations with Trump supporters and just to add what you said, that didn't end in an argument. I'm like, let's see. Hey, what's up, Hightower? What's up? It's cool calling you Hightower because that was a character in Police Academy. And plus, you've been on the channel, dude, from State of Decay, and I'm sure I'm gonna have a State of Decay episode 2 of Lethal Lockdown coming up at some point. I've just been on this Scum kick, and I should probably have some more Scum content. Slip of the tongue, and not to get confused with Ash and Luca, because she has what they call the Scum cast. That's totally different. I don't want to step on any toes or anything of, you know, what she does. She does a great job in her streams, and she's been uploading content. So you guys should check her out. Ash and Luca. She's really good. She's very explosive. Don't get her on her bad side. Just saying. I've never actually. It's funny. I've never actually had a conversation with her, but she seems cool. I could handle somebody that explosive, but I've never had a conversation with her. But she is good people, from what I see, from the outside looking in. But anyway, let's see. Hey, what's up, Eagles? Shay's in the house. Antonio's still here. Thank you for staying here. And let me see. All right, so Hightower's like, I love your live feeds of State of Decay. I definitely need to get back to the live stream aspect. I keep going back and forth, but I don't know. Right? Sometimes I'm just like, I get in the mood that I'm gonna do it, and then something else distracts me. I have ADD when it comes to gaming. So, but right now I'm kind of in that survival horror resource management kit, and then every now and then 2K and stuff like that. And that's actually what I'm going by. Like, I try to make a schedule of things, but I'm like the Joker. I just do things. I'm not gonna do that other quote either. So, what y'all think about Chad Wheeler incident if it hadn't been brought up yet? Chad Wheeler, you're gonna have to bring me up to speed, or hold up. I can just look it up real quick. Hold up, Chad Wheeler. That's the guy who beat up his girlfriend and actually quit the NFL after he was already a free agent. He was playing on the Seattle Seahawks. His girlfriend is African American, and he beat her really bad, like near death. Like, he choked her out. And hopefully it was with a sister. I wouldn't. She needs to leave. If she hasn't left, this is where it's like, okay, because there's the whole thing about protect Black women. But what if they don't want to protect themselves? And in this situation, this is a situation. If she didn't leave, then if she didn't leave after this, then she falls into that category where we try to get her to leave, but she don't want to leave. So, and they say statistically, and it's more likely than not, that once it starts, it will continue. It never really stops. It sometimes evolves into something else. If it can't be physical, it can be mental. And a lot of times women in that situation, particularly Black women, could be stuck in that situation because it has already transitioned to a mental thing. She's trapped. But he almost killed her. And but the way the media handled it, they kind of just put it to the side. There was no like outcry, no backlash, no nothing. There was no what's his face? Who was grandstanding against Greg Hardy, but yet white guy does it and he's not even grandstanding. Like was it Troy Aikman, or was it the dude that just retired from the Cowboys, the tight end Witten? Because that dude grandstanded the hell out of somebody that a Black athlete that beat up his domestic partner. But Chad Wheeler, he's silent. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so Chad Wheeler, I'm glad that at this point he's getting the help, but he should also be in jail if he isn't already. So that's just crazy. But let's. I was going on about the whole voice thing growing up because yeah, I do sound like. See, there was a thing called sounding white versus sounding black, and the way it was taught to me, not taught to me, the way it was explained to me about sounding white was more or less how I sound right now. Like I sound like I have some education. I'm not speaking a whole lot of slang. I'm not cursing a whole lot. Um, versus sounding black, whatever that is, um, was full of slang, cursing, slurring of words was a funny thing because I was just like, I would assume you were drunk if you're slurring your words, but and now with the education of knowing about concussions, it's a sign of a concussion. So be careful with that. That could happen to everybody. Shoot, if you are in tune with how your dog sounds, your dog the bark could be slurred like woo, like instead of rough, it'd be roof. That was bad. Anyway, yeah, you're right. It is about articulation. But the whole thing, what it shows, when you're able to articulate, and I've, I've, I would say I've done a poor job of it, but I think for, you mean the Wizards came back? What happened? Hold up, because I wasn't even watching the game. See, this is my ADD at work. See what happened. Is the game over? I know they were playing the Heat. That's Bill's team. But let me see. Preliminaries, like I hate when people say that. I do too. I've done a poor. Just to go back on the articulation part. I think for me, it's primarily the concussions I've suffered from playing football. I slur my words. I mispronounce stuff. I had a terrible short-term memory. That's from concussions alone, and not all those concussions came when I played football. Just let everybody know. I think my first concussion came when I was 3, and that was me being stupid. My mother told me stop jumping back and forth between the couch and the bed. I kept doing it. Slip, fell, bust my head. This scar that's right here, I don't know if you guys can see it, is the first concussion I've had. So I was 3 years old. So I'm just going to pop it up. I thought it's supposed to make you forget everything, like your problems, everything. It shouldn't make you remember stuff. It should make you forget stuff, like forget where you're at. If it's good, it should make you forget. If it's bad, it'll definitely make you remember everything. So, it's okay. They're still losing. It's 82-80. Professional shooter just hit a 3. Professional shooter was also responsible for getting the turnover against the Nets and cutting them down again, like the NCAA tourney championship. But anyway, so Antonio just posted something. This is off topic, but do you think we will be able to walk into a store and get a next-gen console by June? No. I've already stated your best luck is by the fall. And the articles are out now that are saying that they probably won't get back to normal till around the fall time, and all the logistics are in place. And with everything that's out now, I feel justified in saying what I said, because I said that just paying attention to the parts that have to be shipped. Not everything's being ordered from the same place. China being the biggest thing. the pandemic slowing down all the processing of all the shipments and stuff like that. Trump's war against China, that was going to affect everything, including gaming consoles. I've also stated, and I am on record as saying that they should not have released the consoles until this year anyway. Sony just put out there that there was a 40 million units sold of the consoles. But if they would have held on and waited until this fall, they would have, one, had games to release with their consoles. Not just Sony, but Xbox with the Series X. They didn't put out their numbers, but I guarantee you, if they would have waited until this fall, they would have been able to sell more consoles, and we would have been able to walk in the stores safely and get these consoles. Because there's also a reason why they're not in the stores, because of the pandemic. So I should have been working in somebody's executive office or whatnot, because that is just piss poor. They wanted to get their money because they were just desperate to keep whatever profits they could get. So they put everybody in this rat race. Scalpers, they didn't care. Scalpers count as units sold anyway. That's another rant for another time. But basically what I'm saying is that I was right. They should have waited until this year. They would have had the games to release the consoles with. They would have had availability within the stores, and things would have been a lot smoother. You wouldn't have to deal with the scalpers. You wouldn't have to deal with any of these. And that's unfortunate. I wouldn't even say September. I would say more or less October. October and November, because strategically you want to place it around a holiday that you'll have everything ready to go. Remember, in November, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday kicks off the holiday season. So you want to have this stuff ready to go by that time. That's when you're going to get the most shoppers. By then, most of us would have been vaccinated. I know I'm probably not going to get vaccinated until June or July anyway, the way things are going. You know, it may not be any more vaccine by the time it gets to me. I'm not an essential worker. I'm not in that age group. Hell, my father is like a year away from the group that would have gotten it today. That's crazy. They cut it off at 65. Anyway, all right, so Hightower's like, I'm so behind the curve. My PS4 is still in the box. You're not missing anything. Like, you are pretty much, like, I got my Pro. I'm playing it. I have my gaming PC. I set up my old gaming PC on my other desk because I got a new desk now. So I'm just enjoying the last couple of few years of this current gen until these next gen consoles are readily available, because they are not readily available. All right, so Eagle Shades is like, do you think Rams are Super Bowl contenders when they get because they got Stafford? I just redid that because I know that's what you're asking. It puts them back into contendership. I believe so. They definitely have the defense to back up whatever offense they're going to be able to. Stafford will be able to call audibles. Watch all of a sudden McVay's going to be like, look, you can call all the audibles you want, because Goff was not calling audibles, and that's what killed them, because like he would go up there. What was the thing? What was the joke that Scott OG kept talking about? Goff would have the voice of reason in his head up until the snap of the ball, which is funny. I know it's not exactly true. They cut it off at a certain point, but in the XFL, the quarterback could get instructions and was literally being told to call certain audibles by the coach up until the snap of or at least either up until the snap of the ball or the last 10 seconds. But that was a game changer as far as the XFL. Well, along with that and the kickoff. But yeah, I think the Rams are definitely back in contention for a Super Bowl, because I believe quarterback was the difference even in that Super Bowl matchup where they lost against Tom Brady. So preliminary is a pro better. Well, it's better than the base model. If we're talking about the PS4, it's definitely better than the base model. It's just as the Xbox One X is better than the Xbox One. It's like that. So high titles, like I'm going on a limb and saying KC. I think we're gonna get into that a little bit more on first and frame rates, but I'm going with Tampa because I'm an NFC guy. I've been an NFC guy my whole entire life. Of course, my team, which they were formerly known as the Washington Redskins, are now the Washington Football Team for the foreseeable future, as Pat McAfee would say, Washington TBDs. He was having fun with that. But yeah, so we'll see. But I think we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail tomorrow, since that'll be the last first and frame rates before the Super Bowl. So I think it should wrap up the whole. How does a person wrap up the whole racial? Because I give it to David Jaff that he really took it on the chin as far as that live stream was concerned. Spent 4 hours trying to get information, learn. He took in callers. There were thoughts that would express that would have offended a whole bunch of people, but the point of gaining information is to not be the point of gaining information is to gain knowledge or gain insight, actually. No, damn, fingers bleeding. And when you gain information, you gain insight, you gain understanding and comprehension, and then more stuff can happen. I know in politics, this was again a thing I wrote about in my senior project, was the fact that we allow technology to divide us. We allow social platforms to divide us. The media has been an enabler of division, providing echo chambers to where people can just go in and not hear about opposition. Debates end in fights because people are offended by the first word that they don't like. That's a sensitivity issue. That is mostly with today's kids and some of people in my generation, because I see a lot of people that they're sensitive people in any generation, but it's been perpetuated mostly on you guys in your current generation because that's the advancement of technology. You have Twitter banning folks for having a opposing opinion and grouping them with the people that are just outright violating terms of service. That's wrong. Just focus on the people that are violating terms of service, not the people that just have a opposing opinion. So I don't like the fact that there are conservatives that haven't done anything wrong are being banned from Twitter. YouTube channels, because they even try to talk about the tough shit, get demonetized and banned because they're dealing with the tough shit. And it kind of goes into having a conversation about race. Everybody's about cancel this, cancel that, without having a conversation. Like, how are you going to cancel somebody and then turn around and be like, why is anybody talking about race? Well, you keep canceling everybody, nobody's going to be there to talk about it. And then you can't be afraid of the words that are going to be said when this conversation begins. Because when this conversation begins, somebody's getting punched in the face multiple times on either side. And you're just going to have to sit there and take it. Because on the other side of that is insight, comprehension, and then the healing begins. So I think I'll end it on that as far as what I witnessed last night, because it was in the wee hours of the morning. I think Jaffe is on the West Coast, but People just are not able to race. Even though it's tough, you have to deal with it. Just like any other bully, you have to confront it. You have to show that you're not afraid, and you have to be willing to take some hits in order to break through. I did that with a bully I had. I chased his ass all the way across the street because he did the same thing to me almost like a few days earlier. This was when I was in elementary school. But that's what it takes. You have to confront it head on. David Jaffe did exactly that. And I think he did the best job that anyone could have, especially for the fact that he's a white guy doing this. So, and I don't know him personally. As someone who was just observing from watching, I thought he did the best job he could. I wish you guys had a chance to see it, or do get a chance to see it. I don't think he has it public anywhere now. He did post another video after that, talking about the apology and the racial aspect of it, and that was going to be the last thing he would post about it before he went back to gaming, because that's primarily what he talks about in the streams. Gaming. He's been playing like the new God of War, his criticisms, his critiques of that God of War. And you should check those streams out, because you're talking about the original creator of God of War who's commenting on Cory Barlog's vision of God of War and actually giving it overall a good review. Of course, there's artistic differences between the two. One dealt with T. Carson as the voice of Kratos. They actually went into that as far as the racial aspect of who you're picking as the voice. You want a black guy or whatever. David Jaffe revealed that they just went off of what they heard, and they picked Carson without even knowing it was him. I don't think he said he never even met Carson. So there you go. Kratos was Kratos because the guy, the person who sounded the best and sounded the most whatever got the part. And I think he likes the current God of War. So that being said, has anybody got any more questions? I know the Wizards are. Oh wow, okay, they're pulling away. So it's 95-89. I see Subliminary's been keeping up with the scores, so keeping me glued. But let me go back to the chat. So Hightower's talking about he's been locked up 4 times with Facebook. Yeah, Facebook be on that bullshit. It definitely be on that bullshit. Twitter too. So you know what? I've never been in Twitter jail or Facebook jail, and I probably said some of the most controversial things on both of them. I remember once. This is a sidebar, but definitely dealing with politics. Apparently on Facebook, according to my friends, I'm an idiot because I am critical of my own party. I remember one time I criticized Biden and a person that what was it that I used to be teammates with. He was a senior when I was a junior. We played the same position. Got mad at me, and from the safety of his keyboard or whatever, was damn near cursing me out, talking about don't talk about Biden, blah 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 blah. I'm just like, damn, are you his son? Are you Hunter? I mean, I'm like, dude, you're Nick Shavat, not Hunter Biden. You're not Biden's son. So why don't you just say, hey, why do you feel this way? You know, every good conversation starts off with a question, not an assumption. But let me see. So porn? Hold up. This dude got off of porn? That's probably what the P stands for in Hightower, but I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to hold you. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it be your own friends, Facebook reporting your account. I have about 800 people that I'm friends with on Facebook. I swear, I think they all muted me. Well, I would say about 78% because of the stuff I was saying. And the thing was, it wasn't in anything that I said was not in support of the Republican Party or Trump. It was just me being critical of our own. Seems like we can't be critical of our own. You know, we gotta obey the powers that be because they are in power now, and all the bad things only happen on one side. I'm like, no, I just watched Tulsi Gabbard get blacked out by her own party, all because she did the same thing. She was being critical. You know, our current vice president, Kamala Harris, how she got destroyed by Tulsi Gabbard, but she's now the current vice president of the United States that has never really answered for her record on criminal justice when she was the prosecutor in California. Still can't answer that. Still has no response to this day. Even Pence got her on that statement. So, have I used Facebook dating? From what I can tell, it looks whack. So, I did at one point, but it looks whack. And the sad part is, the part that you have to be careful is you have to filter out so it doesn't throw your friends in there. Because that's the part that I think that's the one thing I saw in there. I was like, whoa, that person's married, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, nah, but that's something. That's whack. You know, and if you've ever seen that one Netflix show, it's just another way to keep you on Facebook, keep you on the app, keep you browsing, tracking your web activity. Not that I'm big on, protecting my web activity, but it's just another way. Facebook dating is basically another way to keep you on Facebook, and it's not working. So this was also Hightower was like snakes. Yeah, they are snakes. They just hide out and they do this whatever they do. They just hide out. Well, she's mixed, but she don't talk about her father, who's Jamaican. Only time she did when she admitted to the point where she was smoking weed and laughing about it, but yet she jailed a whole bunch of black men for doing the same thing. So, and also she threatened to jail parents of kids who were absent from school for truancy or whatever. She laughed about it on TV. Imagine that, our vice president laughing at threatening parents to jail time if their kids didn't correct their kids' truancy. That's crazy. Yeah, I know he did. It was sad because it's something, and I don't know them personally. Again, it's the whole thing where I'm on the outside looking in. I honestly believe in that situation something happened, and because she was raised by her mother, and her mother probably was cursing out her father, and basically turned her and maybe her sister against their father, where they don't even mention them, and that's crazy. I'm like, you can't say that you're black, but you refuse to deal with that side of your family. Like that whole side in Jamaica is just looking at Kamala like, what are you doing? You're half Jamaican. You can't just ignore that fact when you. I'm like, you can't just use it because you went to Howard. Come on. Yeah, exactly. It was easy to be admitted. I don't know where her academics were. She's very intelligent. She obviously knows what she's doing. Except when it comes to running for president. And that fell flat on her face. She couldn't even pay people properly when her campaign fell. So that's another thing. But we're trying to wrap this up. Anybody got any more questions? Her first 2 appointments to her cabinet, both Indian women. Told you. It's nice to know that there's a black man that's Secretary of Defense, though. marched right in there. It was like, a matter of fact, he just issued in 60 days, there's going to be a national stand down of the military to review extremism. I think it's pretty cool that I've never heard of any Secretary of Defense ordering this, but it's pretty cool that black man was like, no, hold up. Let's put a pause on everything. We gotta talk about this extremism because a person like me getting fucked up in our own country. We talk about this. No, if it was another color marched in there, it would have been business as usual. But not our black defensive Secretary of Defense. So I don't know about that. I don't believe that. So I don't believe that black women are giddy. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for one. I don't believe that for 1 second. So, oh yeah, I missed this. He said Bill's a beast. How many points does Bill have? Because it's tied now. Because Washington just cannot play defense. It's just a fatal flaw right now. All right, so Hightower's like, they were the ones clapping the loudest for her. No, see, this is the misunderstanding. It's not all black women were the loudest for her. It was all her sorority sisters that were the loudest for her, which does not encompass all black women. I had to clear that up because when they do that shrieking sound that's their call, it bothers the hell out of me. It's like scratching. It's like nails scratching on a chalkboard. It lasts for a short second, but it's still whatever. So, oops, it moved real quick. So Doug Thomas is like, she lied about smoking weed. Yeah, she did, big time. Well, she mocked that about smoking weed. I don't think she lied. I think she was mockingly. She basically mocked people who smoke weed because she did it and was laughing about it. I think this was 106 no, not 106 apart. It was Breakfast Club that she did this on. It's just like Hillary Clinton. She's like Hillary Clinton 2.0. It's like Hillary Clinton. I keeps my hot sauce in a purse. No, you don't. That's not what you do. You're definitely pandering. You introvert. She's an introverted mess talking about Hillary Clinton. So she said she was listening to pop. Yeah, she was in college and a pop was. Yeah, I know that was it was like she fed a script and still flubbed it. Like I almost flubbed my lines. But yeah, they all tend to pander and you don't really tend to trust politicians. Hell, I don't even trust Tulsi Gabbard all the way. She just makes the most sense because I'm like, her demographics, like, she's a veteran currently serving in the military. And they called people in the Democratic Party smeared her to make her look like she was a traitor to her own country. You know that's punishable by death. So basically, by proxy of those smears, you threaten the life of a fellow congresswoman. Well, she's no longer in Congress anymore, but at that point, that's what they did to her. Tulsi Gabbard even said that she felt like she was put on notice her first day in Congress, like when she started serving. It was like, you better play the game or else. And that's what happened. And it played out. And what the hell? Wizards are, oh, wow. How many? Oh, it's like, oh, back court. My ADD. But, wow. What? Yo, these refs be on the bullshit. I'm sitting here watching. The announcer's like, a travel should have been called. Oh yeah, he traveled like a, and it's Kelly. It's Kelly's bitch ass. Yeah. Oh, he lost out of bounds. I see it. Nope. Okay, good. I'm glad that bit of drama is over. That was just crazy. What was I saying again? Yeah, when they basically put her on notice, and basically Tulsi, yeah, can't criticize you. Come on, good. They called a foul on that. So, all right, let me get back to the chat again. So, all I see up and down Facebook and Twitter. I know Hightower's laughing at me because I my ad. Yeah, because I was saying that Subliminary was originally reporting on this game, and now I'm like, I hear the commentators now, and they're sitting there, they're calling out traveling, they're calling out all sorts of shit that the refs aren't calling. I'm like, okay, quick thing. Why haven't they? Okay, so here's a good question. Why haven't they fired the Wizards coach? I have no idea. I have no idea why we don't fire people when it's obvious. But I will say this. Why did we trade John Wall? That's my question to them. I'm like, even after Westbrook had that game against Brooklyn, which Kyrie Irving traveled on the baseline, you know, you get the ball on the side out, you're not supposed to move. He moved towards the referee. Referee standing right there. Probably wondering why Kyrie Kyrie is just closer to him while the play is going on. It doesn't make any sense. Hightower is like, sounds like a Laker game. Yeah. Well, shoot. The Lakers had their own thing. We talked about this last night. Well, Bills provided the roast on this, where, you know, this woman on the sideline thought she could speak up for her husband, who clearly was in a situation where it was two men trash talking each other. So she wanted to jump in. You know, she should have been minding her own business. She should have stuck to worrying about the shoes that she was wearing that night, because she was on the gram talking about her shoes. Like, she didn't like her shoes, but then she wants to get involved in the game. Like, bitch, do you play basketball? No. Sit down, shut the fuck up. That's basically what LeBron's attitude. Of course, he's not going to say that, but he had that look in his face like, who's this bitch? Like, she lucky my wife ain't here. Wife would have fucked her up. Just talking all this trash. I'm like, it's not one of those things where LeBron's going to address her. He's addressing the steroid looking dude. Oh, God. Oh, boy. All right, we're going to tune into the last 20 seconds of this. This is about to be some bullshit. It's going to be Kelly winning the game. It's some bullshit. There we go. Wow, Miami with the brain freeze. Yo. Yeah, you're right, John Wall. You're right, John Wall is a beast. Oh, she apologized? Ah! L's in the chat for Plastic Woman. She had no choice but to apologize because she spoke out of turn. That's what's supposed to happen. When you speak out of turn, you need to apologize. That's what happened. L's in the A. Put L Plastic Woman. L's for the Plastic Woman in the chat. I know y'all probably not gonna follow through, but I'm just calling for it anyway because she deserved the L when it happened. And the fact that she apologized, that same energy principle, I'm telling you. But yeah, shoot, L. Well, it's gonna be an L for me, but L for you guys for not participating. So, y'all guys want to ask me questions but don't want to participate. It's like going to a concert. It's like you guys had that attitude of people going to a concert. There we go. Thank you, Doug. All right, so I don't get an L. I was saved by Doug. Thank you. I'll remember this. So there we go. We got the L to Plastic Woman, L to Barbie, L to Barbie. Oh, that sounds like something. I'm not gonna say that because that's it. That's no. Mm-mm. Just she just no. Why not? See, here's the thing. Everybody keeps forgetting. Old school Catholics used to beat up women too. Send her to Scotland or Ireland. I'm like, most of the Family Guy jokes were based on the fact that uh, the Catholics that were Irish and whatever used to beat the fuck out of their wives. But we are all conditioned to believe it's just Muslims that did that. See, that's the media got y'all thinking it was just Muslims. Nah, y'all all watch Family Guy. Family Guy tell you the truth. It was some Irish. Irish should get you every time. They believed in stern hand leads to a steady wife. Apparently, not steady enough. If she has to take a stern hand, turns into laid out wife. But that was the old style Catholics, and that I'm like, domestic violence in all forms is wrong. I'm like, it can happen to men, it can happen to women, it could be man versus woman, woman versus man, it could be man, woman, whatever pronoun you choose to use, it can happen to you, and it can happen to me. I've never had it happen to me, thank God. I've never done it to anybody, but at the same time. Someone said, I say Muslim since that's all they like to talk about. Son, you're behind. They used to talk about Muslims like really hardcore in the early 2000s. And how do I know? I was in the Air Force. They were briefing us these stereotypes. So, yeah, you want to talk about racism being rampant. It's also rampant in the military. That's why another reason why they stand down orders are being issued for the whole thing, because they need to address this shit, not just in the country, but also within the ranks. So, what? Oh, no, we're not. Okay, we're not even. We ain't gonna do that. Of course, this came beforehand. Good grief, going a mile a minute. So it's like, well, I'm talking about a certain group of people, the so-called right wingers. Oh wow. And it's funny because I actually watched a show that I don't think there are any more new episodes called not Family Guy, American Dad. It was a right wing uh, animated version of Family Guy. It was American Dad. It's funny as hell. It definitely gives you a funny slant on conservatism and also how like liberalism within a conservative family always gets called out and vice versa. Like they brought up the Second Amendment. What was it? Was it there was an episode of American Dad where what's his name? I forgot the father's name, where he basically tossed out a gun. It was like, see, shoot, gun, shoot. See, the gun's not the problem. You are. You're the one that picked it up and started shooting people. That basically was the point. But all right, so all right, any more questions? So I feel like I'm about to wrap this up. I think we've had enough fun. We hit the 2 hour mark. We're not doing any slavery on here. This is not slave rates. This is not slave rates. And first, I just said it to try to force it, but no, this is not first and frame rates where we go over 3 hours. I try to keep it at one, but you guys kept me entertained, and hopefully you guys. What time is the nightcap? What nightcap? Ain't nobody going anywhere. Better take your medicine and sit down. What time is the nightcap? Where do you think you're going, Hightower? We need to have a toast. Only toast I'm having, I'm putting butter on it. Because my stomach just not with the alcohol. As I didn't drink. I didn't really drink a whole lot, so my stomach never acquired the tolerance needed to handle alcohol. So I can take a sip at a time. I'll take a couple of shots. I'm like, I got tea. I'm like, scarf this off. Cold tea. Okay, never mind. Oh, damn, you're older than me. You're about to reach the half century mark. I turn 41 in next month. Well, salute to you. So, all right, okay. I'm starting to feel all the stuff my parents told me I would feel when I got this age. Whoa, it starts with vertigo. I'm telling you. Well, me, that stuff starting to hit me because I've basically been inactive. Like I haven't been exercising regularly. Like I had a program that I started on like a few months ago. Haven't gone back to it. Haven't gone to the gym in a while. The gyms are open, but I've been laying low. I haven't gotten fat. I feel a little pudgy in the stomach a little bit, just a little bit. But I still got. Well, I don't have any guns. I got a pistol, maybe a SMG. I got SMGs. I don't have a full rifle. I don't have the AR-15, but I got an SMG. SMGs on me. Got the MP5s. How about that? No. What are they? Damn. Not. I don't have the MK17s. I need the AKs. Not AK. I need the MK17s. You know what those are? Scars. Scar H's. Those are my favorite guns in all the Call of Duties, Battlefields, and whatever games contain it. I think PUBG has the Scar H. That is definitely my favorite gun to use. I've actually fired an M16 when I was in basic training. I've never fired a pistol though. Never fired a M9 or shoot. I would like to feel the power of a Desert Eagle. I think if I ever owned a gun, I would probably buy me a Desert Eagle and a Scar H. Those would be the two guns I would have: a Scar H and a Desert Eagle, and maybe a shotgun and a sniper rifle. But I don't have any of those. That doesn't look like I plan on owning a gun anytime soon. But if I had my own guns, those would be the guns I would have. I don't know what type of shotgun, long as it has, long as I have ammunition that deals the most damage. Because I don't deal with birds where I come from. So you say you're actually getting ready to go gun shopping next month. All right. Well, I tell you what. Hightower, are you on Twitter? Because I feel like you possibly on Twitter and because that's where you can also find me. Okay, well, follow me over there, and so that way I don't have to be on stream talking about guns. I can be on Twitter, possibly ending up in the same jail cell as you on Twitter talking about guns. I'm not really a gun a gun person, but there are a few guns that I like. So that's where I'm at on Twitter. Let me get through these banners real quick. For those that are on YouTube, you can find me over here on Twitch. This is where I'm primarily at now. I still upload on YouTube, which the Twitch people can find me on YouTube here. I like how I rolled into that. and also take care of, about to hit the wrong thing. So last but not least, I am a featured panelist on a show called First in Frame Rates. The primary host is VF. Also, Bills is another featured panelist. Myself, we talk about sports and sports video gaming. We also talk about video gaming as well. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday nights at 7:45 ish. Sometimes we go at 8. All times Eastern Standard Time. So come join us. It's primarily here on Twitch at VF Baller. Go check him out. So follow him if you haven't followed him already. You'll find us all there. It's uncensored, it's unabashed, unapologetic, and we pull no punches, even with each other, because a roast is a roast, but afterwards we toast. Okay, I forced that one. But anyway, join us again tomorrow for First and Frame Rates. Don't know what we're going to talk about, but we probably will be talking about the Super Bowl, because obviously that'll be the next major sporting event that pops up. So, and then if you want to, clearly optional, you can donate below. I have PayPal and Zelle. Just send me. Get to the last bit of comments. Okay. Says he doesn't really post much on Twitter, to be honest. And it's understandable. But it's another option. Or what is it? Or you can join the Discord. So yeah, we would love to have you over at Discord. I can always send you the link. You know, we got a good community that's been growing there. We talk about sports, movies, you know, we expand all the categories. You know, I am the creator of the First and Frame Rates Discord. So I am the king over there. So, but I'll see you around. You know, thank you for stopping by, and let me go through the roll call. So Hightower, thank you for stopping by. Villain in Black, who is Doug Thomas, thank you for stopping by. Who else? Antonio, I know he's still here. Thank you for stopping by. Subliminary was here. Thank you for stopping by. And it's like I had to roll all the way up because this doofy Bills it gets mad. Oh, Eagle Shades, by the way, thank you for stopping by. But yeah, this doofy Bills is more worried about the Sopranos and is trying to force me to be entertaining, to entertain him, because he put a gun to my head, an imaginary pistol that shoots blanks, to get me to entertain him in 2 minutes, or he was out. You know, that's some bullshit. But that, you know, much love, but damn, why you gotta put a gun to my head filled with blanks? That's my stuff, homie. You don't do that to your homie. And of course he's not here. You don't show his face. Anyway, but shout out to Bills for stopping by. So he stopped by earlier. Hopefully I got everybody, and about to be out. So again, thank you everybody for stopping by. And I will see you guys episode 16. Don't know what I'm going to do for that one. Hopefully you guys, if there's a subtle change, hopefully you guys will pick up on it. If not, it's quite okay. I'll be the neglected girlfriend all over again. and be mad you didn't notice the subtle change. But anyway, so you guys have a good night, and guys, peace out.